Well, my friends, welcome back to Spot On with Link. Lauren, we have so much to discuss today. I have been up since early this morning. Okay, I watched Meghan Markle's new Christmas special. I'm a martyr. I did it for you guys. I will be breaking it down piece by piece, frame by frame, everything you need to know. And spoiler alert, it's not that great. We're also going to be talking about some political stories today. Michelle Obama, does she have a little bit of a beef going with Bill Maher? We're going to talk about Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, and these drug boats that were blowing up and this narco-terrorism that we're seeing here in the United States. So we got to pay some bills. After we pay some bills, we will dive right in to the hot topics. Recently, I learned about colostrum, the very first milk known as liquid gold that babies receive from their mothers after birth, packed with proteins, natural growth factors, antimicrobial peptides that work to enhance your immune response, reduce inflammation, repair and balance gut lining, reduce bloating, and make your hair and skin look amazing. Today's sponsor, Cowboy Colostrum, offers the highest quality cow colostrum available in the US, 100% made in America from 100% American grass-fed cows. They don't overprocess or strip their colostrum, leaving it whole, full fat, and high protein for ultimate nutrient density. It is the highest quality bovine colostrum you can buy. Cowboy is easy to drink, made with delicious natural ingredients and no artificial flavors. Simply add a 3-gram scoop of either their chocolate, Madagascar vanilla, or strawberry into your coffee or smoothie. For a limited time, our listeners get up to 25% off their entire order. Just head to cowboycolostrum.com/link and use code LINK at checkout. That's 25% off when you use code LINK at cowboycolostrum.com/link. And after you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please tell them we sent you. Coming to you live from the insane asylum, I got up early this morning to watch Madwoman Meghan Markle make Christmas crackers. She made an advent calendar, she made gumbo, and the entire thing was dystopian and crazy, okay? Meghan Markle, it is clear to me there is no star factor there whatsoever. I'm not even going to say the show was like watching paint dry because I actually find beauty in the mundane. I think watching paint dry would have been more entertaining, okay? I think this show was more like getting repeatedly hit in the head with a can of paint. That's what this was like. The entire show. And I said this about the original series, season 1, season 2, and now the Meghan Markle holiday Christmas special that just came out this morning. Meghan Markle seems like she is in the loony bin. And no disrespect to anybody who's ever been in the loony bin, those who might be watching us in the loony bin right now. But Meghan Markle, it's like she's doing arts and crafts, and they've given her those scissors they give to children where they don't have any sharp edges. They're like, let the girl do arts and crafts under supervision. Let her play in the fake kitchen with the camera crew. Nothing about this feels real to me. And then what really stuck out to me was that her dog Guy is in the show. So her dog is in the show. Now, I remember Meghan Markle posting about her dog passing away in January of 2025. Okay, about 11 months ago, her dog passed away, which tells us this show is old. This footage is old. Netflix basically told her, you got a couple of weeks or months to film in this rented kitchen, and then we are going to stretch it as long as we can. Meghan Markle, from what we've uncovered, this was filmed way back in 2024, around the same time of season 1 and season 2 of With Love, Meghan. All they did was maybe throw a wreath on the door in one of the shots and put up a Christmas tree. There's nothing about this that screams Christmas. There's nothing that screams holiday tradition. In fact, the one tradition she claims that she still has from the royal family are these crackers, okay? And we all know these crackers. They're either at a place setting on Christmas or the happy holidays you experience with your families. But Meghan Markle, she says this is the one thing she's taken from the royals with her to California. Now, the royals very famously do Christmas big at Sandringham, okay? And we've got some clips we'll put up on the screen. Meghan Markle, she experienced a royal Christmas or two. She was not in the royal family very long, but she went to Sandringham with Catherine and William and the Queen and Prince Philip and Charles and Camilla and Harry, okay? So she experienced a royal Christmas. She gave all of that up, okay? All of the pomp and circumstance and duty and all the good she could have done to go be in a rented kitchen in a McMansion in Southern California doing arts and crafts. Okay, she went from the royal family to doing arts in crafts. That is a fall from grace. I've never seen someone fumble the bag harder than Meghan Markle, okay, which tells me she is her own worst enemy. She's her own saboteur, and we see it in the show. There is absolutely no star power. But I want to take a look at that clip where she talks about these crackers, okay? She talks about these crackers and how much joy they brought her in the UK.
So, Christmas crackers.
Have you been doing them for a long time?
Well, living in the UK is just such a part of...
Is it a big part of the culture over there?
For Christmas holidays, for sure.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, typically people cross arms and do it.
No way.
Yeah, so they sit
So you're
around
doing
the
it
table.
with the other person?
Yes, and they all pull at the same time. So the
That's
crack...
awesome.
It actually does feel really connective
It's like
and
a moment
sweet.
of community.
Now, this is the one tradition she took from the royal family. If I were over in the royal family, even if it was for a week, okay, I would take more than that. The one thing she took away from getting to be around the queen, the king, everyone in between, the Commonwealth, the one thing she took away were these crackers. Oh my God, did you know? We crossed arms and we broke open these crackers. I'm not going to do it now because I'm cheap and I want to save these for a couple weeks when Christmas comes. I don't have the Meghan Markle Netflix budget. I want to save them for a couple weeks. But no, the one tradition she took were the crackers, okay? But you notice, no matter what it is, okay, she's always going to dine out on that title, being Meghan the Duchess of Sussex. She's always going to find a way to intertwine and work her former family into her projects in California and her Hollywood dreams and aspirations, okay? And the reason I say former family is the way she's treated the royals, that's not how you treat family, okay? I don't care if she married in, they moved to a different continent. She has done nothing but dine out on her titles and try to stretch that brief 18 months she spent over there. And shame on Meghan Markle because the royals, they welcomed her with open arms. They threw her a big wedding. They basically said, do whatever you want. If you have this initiative you're passionate about, you want to do a cookbook with the Grenfell girls, whoever they were, do that. But she did not think that was good enough, and she absconded to California and then proceeded to accuse them all of racism with really no facts. And really there was no veracity to any of her claims she made about the royal family. And now she's doing a reality show where she walks around a fake kitchen. Now, what's also fake about the show to me, none of these people seem like real friends. Okay, every person who comes over who's supposed to be Meghan Markle's best friend, it's like she's met them for the first time. When I get together with my friends and family, and you guys are probably the same way around the holidays, it really feels authentic. We're having fun. Maybe there are some drinks flowing. Everybody's having a good time. It just feels so contrived. And I think at this point, Meghan Markle is not capable of having authentic, real conversation. She can't have any of those kind of real moments because I just don't think there's a real Meghan Markle. I think Meghan Markle is malleable, sort of like a sociopath in my opinion, where she will sort of be a chameleon to however she needs to be in a certain environment. She will be a chameleon to try and get the guy. She'll be a chameleon to fit in here. She'll be a chameleon to get on suits and do whatever it takes to get to the next step. I don't think there's a real Meghan Markle. Now, speaking of another fake and contrived moment from this reality show, the Meghan Markle Holiday Celebration Special, Prince Harry decides to stop by. Now, what's interesting to me about this is that they make it seem like Prince Harry just popped down to the kitchen. Oh, Prince Harry, Harry stopped by. H is here. He just wanted to come by the kitchen and see what we were working on. This kitchen is not in their house. You guys understand what I'm saying? This kitchen is not in their house. So this notion that he just came downstairs to check on his loving wife in the kitchen is so fake and so phony to me. And Prince Harry went from being the most beloved royal with the highest favorability, the most eligible bachelor on earth, women would have just, fallen out for him everywhere he went, to now he's doing a fake reality show and he's playing along almost like a Kardashian, right? He's going along a little bit with the storyline. He's hamming it up for the cameras. But I want to play you that clip of where he stops by to check on his wife in the fake kitchen.
I can feel it puncturing through the top of my head right now.
When food makes you sweat, that's good. That's a good thing, yeah.
It is delicious. I'm not so sure it's as good as your mum's, but it's certainly close.
Wow.
What? Oh my gosh. My mom will love you for that. You know what? What a good thing to say for your mother-in-law.
Exactly.
So Meghan Markle in that clip was making her mom Doria Ragland's famous Christmas gumbo, because we all have a famous Christmas gumbo. Shout out to all my folks out there who love a good gumbo. When I think of Christmas, I don't personally think of gumbo, but maybe that's a thing in other cultures, and I respect it. But I think it's interesting how Prince Harry acts like he's just stopping by, okay, in the last 5 minutes of the entire holiday Netflix special. That's what I found so interesting, right? 50 minutes go by. No mention of Prince Harry. And it seems like Netflix called and said, this show absolutely sucks. Okay, we've wasted our budget on this. You better get that Duke in here immediately and on camera. We need something that is going to get us press and attention, because watching Meghan Markle do arts and crafts like an insane woman and make poppers or crackers and discuss, I don't know, some advent calendar she's doing or pine cone she's going to put up her hoo-ha. I don't know what the hell she had going on in that fake kitchen, but I think Netflix called and they said, sweetheart, we need to get Prince Harry in here. Okay, we signed you, Meghan Markle, yes, because you are a wannabe Duchess. You're like the Duchess of White Castle. Meghan Markle is about as royal as Burger King at this point. I actually have more respect for Burger King than I do Meghan Markle. But Netflix is like, look, sweetie, let's get down to brass tacks. We're signing you, yes, to do With Love, Meghan. But what we really want is some dirt on the royal family, and we want your husband in here, okay? We want the ginger prince who fled the kingdom to get on this reality show. We know that's what the executives were thinking at Netflix, in my opinion, okay? The executives were like, we got to get Prince Harry in here. And I think he threw her a bone, okay? I think he threw her a little bone, some scraps, and he decided, I'll come by for 5 minutes with my new hair plugs, pop in on the Netflix show and have some gumbo. Now, the last clip I want to look at, Prince Harry is not a huge fan of Meghan Markle salads. Let's take a look.
And that salad is me and the salad, we're having like this sort of aisle. It's good. But that is amazing how there's not many things in the world that I don't like.
And they're the ones that are all in that salad.
What would happen to me?
All in all, it's nice for Prince Harry to do charity work. You know, he went from doing real charity work over in the UK, and he has the Invictus Games, and that's great. We like the Invictus Games. But this is probably the most charity work Prince Harry has done. Showing up at the end of every one of her Netflix specials for 5 seconds to be like, oh, baby, I love you. Let me have a drink. He's probably strung out on mushrooms and uppers and downers and candy corn and God knows what else. But Prince Harry throws her a bone. At the end of every season or every reality show she does, he comes in for 2 seconds like, hey, Meghan, great. He does his due diligence so she can bring home a little bit of the bacon. But it seems like Netflix is done with her. We kept refreshing. This show is not in the top 10 of Netflix, okay? Netflix, their programming isn't great these days. I wouldn't say it's a competitive top 10. She's not in the top 10. You go to the what's new and what's hot section on Netflix, we can't find the show. I had to search Meghan to even find it on Netflix. And that's when it had been out for several hours. So you think Netflix would have put it on the front page? I think Netflix is truly done with her. They did not renew her contract. She has some type of first look deal. We find out all of this footage was taped back in 2024, and they're just stretching it to try to make something off of their investment, right? I don't think they're getting a big return on the investment, but it's very telling to me, not in the top 10 of Netflix, not on the home page. And basically, I don't think she will be doing another project with Netflix anytime soon, or possibly ever as ever. And the last thing I'll say is this. Meghan Markle, she sits around in this kitchen doing her arts and crafts, but why couldn't she put wicks in the candle? Okay, I gotta bring up our recurring character on the show. This has become the sidekick on the show. Meghan Markle's wickless candle. If she is some maven of arts and crafts, and she can make crackers, and she can make little advent calendars, and she can make gumbo, maybe she could put a wick in the candle next. That would be groundbreaking. But I heard through a little birdie through the grapevine, she has some new products coming out, so we might have to do another review. Make sure you're subscribed for that. The last topic I want to discuss as it pertains to Meghan Markle, she allegedly threw a fit. She apparently threw a fit after Kris Jenner's 70th birthday about the way she looked in the pictures. If you remember, Kris Jenner had this big bash with Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos, and Harry and Meghan went to the party, okay? They made sure to get in all the pictures, and then when the pictures came out, after a few hours, they were all pulled off the internet. They were all taken down. Isn't that interesting? And I said at the time, I think Meghan Markle called because she thought she didn't look good. Meghan Markle, let's be honest, she looked a little bloated. She didn't look amazing in the pictures. I think she called the Kardashians and said, take it down. Now there's this sort of alleged feud. You guys, I know there are big things going on in the world. I know there are much more important things, but let's discuss this right now. So she apparently threw a fit after the 70th birthday after realizing how bad she looked compared to some of the other glamorous guests. She apparently disliked the pictures released by the Kardashians, which were promptly deleted. This is what an insider told the Daily Mail. Meghan is so particular about curating her image and has approval over every photo that goes out. She saw those photos and realized how bad she looked compared to other women at the party and obviously threw a fit. Now, Meghan's demand the snaps were deleted caused uproar within the Kardashian camp, it's been alleged, as the reality stars felt the Duchess's request overshadowed the occasion, which they feel should have been about Kris. Now, I agree, okay? The devil works hard, but Kris Jenner works harder. She should have had her 70th birthday instead of the frickin' Duke and Duchess of Scamelot coming in and trying to upstage her and then calling and demanding people take pictures down. This is my thing, okay? This is the last thing I'll say about this. You do not go to a Kardashian function and think you are going to have privacy, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. You guys knew there were probably going to be about a dozen cameras there. They've had a reality show for 20 years. The Kardashians have been on TV for about 20 years. We have seen sex tapes. We've seen every nook and cranny of their bodies. They've shown themselves giving birth on camera. So for Meghan Markle to go to the party and say, I want privacy, while she's posing and smiling for the cameras, shows us that she's a hypocrite and that maybe her mind plays tricks on her. Maybe she is a little nuts and cuckoo in the head and has this weird paranoia that creeps in. A lot of celebrities who are out of touch, they have this weird paranoia. If you ever spent time with them or you've been around them, they get weird and kooky. In 1 minute, she might be having fun, and then the next day, her mood might completely change and she wants the pictures taken down. That's what I think happened working with Meghan Markle. All right, if you are sick of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, we are going to move on to some other interesting topics after we pay some bills. Stick around. Ever read the label on a typical bag of chips? It's often a science experiment of seed oils, MSG, artificial dyes, and mystery ingredients. Masa is part of the growing movement to bring back real food. Masa's chips contain just 3 ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. Not only do these chips avoid the bad stuff, they also taste incredible too. Snacking on Masa chips is nothing like eating regular chips. With Masa, you feel satisfied, light, and energetic with no crash, bloat, or gross sluggish feeling afterwards. You won't find yourself binging and feeling hungry. Personally, my favorite flavor of Masa is the original. If you love Masa, then you'll love Vandy Crisps. Vandy, Masa's sister company, makes the most delicious 3-ingredient potato chips I've ever tasted. My favorite flavor is Smokehouse Barbecue. Ready to give Masa or Vandy a try? Use code LINK for 25% off your first order at masachips.com or vandycrisps.com, or simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code to claim this delicious offer. And if you don't feel like ordering online, Masa and Vandy are now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket, so stop by and pick up a couple of bags before they're gone. Now, we've discussed Meghan Markle, but we have to move on to the most oppressed woman in American history, Michelle Obama. You might know her as Barack Obama's bitch wife, because all she does is bitch and moan. It's why in my head, I have shipped her off to Bitch Island, almost like Survivor, okay? Bitch Island is where I send... It's where I send Meghan Markle, Michelle Obama, Blake Lively, Kathy Griffin, Rosie O'Donnell, all these folks I call the unbearables, they get shipped off to Bitch Island. Okay, there are some men on Bitch Island too. Jimmy Kimmel almost got shipped off to Bitch Island, but I need him here for the content. But Michelle Obama, apparently she might have a little bit of a beef with Bill Maher, who you think would have liked Michelle Obama, right? Bill Maher is an LA old school liberal. He's not into the woke crap. That's why I'm very aligned with Bill Maher on certain things, because we're not into all the LGBTQIA R2D2. No. But you would think Bill Maher likes Michelle Obama. You would think he has some respect for Michelle Obama, but even he is calling her out for some of the comments she has made. Michelle Obama says America is not ready for a woman president. Let's take a look.
I mean, her statement, I was rather shocked by it.
Yeah.
She said, as we saw in the past election, sadly, we ain't ready. Okay, to me, this is logical fallacy 101. Just because we weren't ready or didn't like the candidates, Hillary and Kamala, doesn't mean we're not ready for a woman. Maybe. I think it's a bad attitude. I do. I mean, we said we weren't ready for a black president, and someone, I can't remember who, maybe she remembers, said maybe it just has to be the right one.
I could not agree with Bill Maher more. This has nothing to do with being a woman, right? Kamala Harris did not lose because she was a woman. Hillary Clinton did not lose because she was a woman. In fact, I don't think people even look at Hillary Clinton as a woman most of the time. I think Hillary Clinton is looked at as more of this sort of vicious, cold, robotic figure in politics, right? Sort of this figment of the deep state and politics as usual and the swamp. I don't think people were looking at Hillary Clinton going, oh, she's so feminine. I don't know if she can win because she's a woman. I don't think anybody was feeling that. And I don't think people felt that with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris lost because she was an abject failure. And anytime you ask Kamala Harris about her policies or what she was going to do for the country, she had no answers, she danced around it, or she cackled, okay? Kamala Harris seemed like a belligerent drunk, in my opinion. She was a fool. She should have been nowhere near the nuclear codes. If she thought she was ever going to run for president again, she should have done something. She should have done something as VP. She accomplished absolutely nothing. So the fact that Michelle Obama says the country isn't ready for a woman, y'all can keep pulling the woman card. You guys can keep pulling the race card. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. People voted in this last election on inflation, immigration, all of these top issues that Democrats could have seen in their polling were becoming issues for them for years, and they botched it, they dropped the ball, and they did absolutely nothing. And it's why they lost a huge swath of their base, right? There are people who had never voted Republican before who voted for President Trump, right? There are people who voted twice for Obama and then came out and voted for President Trump. So you can't tell me that has anything to do with race, gender, skin color, identity politics. It has to do with the fact that people said, you know what? We just want to try something new. We want to see if we can get our grocery prices to come down. We want to secure the border. We want to secure the streets. We want common sense. And Kamala Harris is not someone who instilled confidence. If I saw Kamala Harris running the table in a cabinet meeting or in the Situation Room, I would not think that the country was in good hands. And then she chose Mr. Jazz Hands, Tim Walz, to be her VP. So he was going to be one heartbeat away from the presidency, a man who walks into every room like Bob Fosse and dances and sings and is like doing herkies, okay, like a cheerleader in the movie Bring It On. No, that was a horrible ticket. So you lost all on your own, Kamala Harris, and it had absolutely nothing to do with gender or skin color. But if you need to tell yourself that to feel better, do it. And Michelle Obama, it sounds like you need some self-soothing as well. Now, we have to talk about this whole situation going on with Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Now, I am on Pete Hegseth's side, and I will tell you why. We are blowing up some drug boats coming from Venezuela, coming to the United States, because we don't want drugs here. The same way we shut down the border, okay, the flow of drugs and fentanyl and cocaine and everything that was coming through the southern border the last year, we've shut it down. Okay, we've shut it down. We have a right to protect ourselves and defend our homeland. And I also think you have to set an example, right? You have to set an example for these folks around the world that, guess what? If you're going to try to funnel drugs into the country, we are going to blow you to smithereens. And that is why I support Pete Hegseth. Of course, there is an investigation. There will be probably more investigations, because if the Democrats even smell blood or smell anything, they're going to try to pounce on it, because the Democrats have nothing going for them. Okay, so if they think, right, they think they've got something over Pete Hegseth with this boat situation from September, they are of course going to run with that. But let me tell you, okay, a majority of Americans are with Pete Hegseth and the administration on this. Even people who did not support President Trump in this last election have come around and said, you know what, the way he secured the border, the way he has stopped the flow of drugs, we support it. And we have to talk about these statistics as well. When it comes to fentanyl, right, 1 pound of fentanyl has the capacity to kill over 200,000 people. Right? Fentanyl is so incredibly lethal. There's not a person watching this right now who hasn't lost a friend or a loved one to fentanyl, right? There's someone in your community who has been affected. These drugs aren't just in bad neighborhoods, right? As they show in the movies and in the TV shows, right? Oh, they're drugs, right? In sort of these low-income neighborhoods. No. The drugs are coming through middle-class, residential neighborhoods, kids who have their whole lives in front of them. They go and they take one pill. They take something in a bad moment. They make a dumb decision as a teenager. Their frontal lobe's not connected. It's laced with fentanyl and they're gone, right? And where do the drugs come from? South America, China, these other countries that do not wish us well. So that is why I support Pete Hegseth in blowing up these narco-terrorists and blowing up the boats. And I want to take a look at this clip from yesterday's cabinet meeting.
I'll say again, we've only just begun striking narco boats and putting narco-terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people. And Joe Biden tried to approach it with kid gloves. And allowed them to come across the border, cartels take over community, 20 million people, hundreds of thousands of Americans poisoned. And President Trump said, no, we're taking the gloves off. We're taking the fight to these designated terror organizations. And that's exactly what we're doing. So we're stopping the drugs, we're striking the boats, we're defeating narco-terrorists, and we're standing...
And Pete, you may say one thing, that drugs coming in through the sea by sea are down 91%.
We've had a bit of a pause because it's hard to find boats to strike right now, which is the entire point.
All I have to say is thank you. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, Pete Hegseth. Because if you've lost a loved one or a family member or a friend to fentanyl or drugs that have been funneled through the border, funneled through our ports of entry, funneled from China, flown into the country, you know that this is a serious, serious issue. We should not have drugs running rampant on the streets. We should not be losing all of these young people to fentanyl and other substances. So thank you for blowing up these drug boats and blowing up these narco-terrorists. And if some people say I'm heartless, that's fine. I can take that. I've been called worse, okay? But these folks on the boat, they're not coming here to be, citizens of the United States and really contribute to society. They're coming here because they wish us harm and they want to make some money and sell drugs. They're not coming to be upstanding, okay? These aren't folks you want to rub elbows with and rub shoulders with and sing kumbaya with. So let's keep blowing them to smithereens until people stop sending the drugs. Now, our streets in America, they are becoming safer. But because we live in a 24/7 society with cell phones and cameras, we are able to see some of the crime that is still rampant in these blue cities like Chicago and New York. And I want to talk to you about an NYU student who was thrown to the ground while walking to class in Lower Manhattan on Monday morning. Her name was Amelia Lewis. She was walking down Broadway shortly before 9:30 a.m. on Monday when a violent vagrant came up behind her and attacked her without a warning. Let's take a look.
I was just on my way this morning at 9:20 a.m. walking to class on Broadway off of Waverly Place where that Fresh & Co is. And as I'm walking with my headphones on listening to music, I feel something slap me so hard, literally on my ass, so hard. And I was like, oh my god, ow, that hurts so bad. And I was like, oh, I thought it was one of my friends. So I was gonna turn around and be like, ow, that hurt so bad, why did you do that? But when I turned around, I just saw this old white guy, and right when I turned around, he grabbed my fucking hair like this and yanked me and threw me to the ground. My headphones went fucking flying, and I was just on the ground, and I saw him just bolt away down Waverly.
Amelia Lewis, I know you're a little bit younger than me. Maybe you have seen my content before. Maybe we have some mutual friends, but I have to tell you, I have your back. And thank you for having the bravery to speak up about this. I also went to NYU. I used to walk up and down Broadway all day long. And one of my last few weeks in New York City, I had a situation very similar to this. It was very scary. I walked home in tears. I cried. I called my mom. It was when I realized I don't want to live here anymore in this city, okay? Because there's so many incredible cops. I support the NYPD, okay? I'm not like Zoran Mamdani who wants to defund the police and trash them. I respect our men and women in uniform and I back the blue. But because so many police officers were vilified during Black Lives Matter and the protest, a lot of them said, you know what? We're not going to end up in a viral video. We're just going to try and do our jobs and keep our head down because we don't want to end up getting canceled because of sort of the race situation going on in the country. So, Amelia Lewis, I have your back. I have been there. I had a really bad situation happen to me walking home one night in New York myself. It is scary. It is scary to be on these streets, and it's why we need more law enforcement. It's why we need to clean up the homelessness and get them moved so you can walk to class. I walked up and down exactly those streets time and time again. Where she described walking from, I lived 20 seconds away from there. Okay, the McDonald's she is walking by was my McDonald's. So Amelia Lewis, this hit home for me. We love you. We are thinking about you. And I support you. And I know exactly what you went through. And I give kudos to you for actually getting the footage. It's amazing that you actually ended up getting the footage because I never did. Now, I want to move on to one other instance. A woman was sexually assaulted walking her dog in downtown LA by a homeless man. See, this is a trend happening in Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago, and I want to take a look at that clip and then discuss.
Shared the surveillance video of what she says were some of the most terrifying moments of her life.
Pushed me up against the glass, grabbed the back of my neck and my crotch area, and I was screaming for help.
Tara remembers the man being very strong, not saying anything, just making noises. At one point, she manages to break free.
And when I finally kind of did, then that's when he hit me and tackled me to the ground.
They tumble out of view, and that's when she says her cries for help were finally answered by a man down the sidewalk who jumped into action.
Tara, I also have your back. When we see this footage, right, when we see all these clips coming out of young women being attacked, walking home, going into their buildings, walking to class, it is just a reminder, women, you got to protect yourselves. You have to carry, okay? If you live in a place where you're allowed to carry, I hate to say it, you got to carry. And you need to go to a gun safety course, you need to go to a gun range and learn what to do, because when these things happen, you got to grab it quickly. You got to take some self-defense courses, because these men in power like Gavin Newsom, they're not going to protect you. I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but these Democratic men, they don't care. They'll let men into women's sports. They'll let men into the women's locker rooms. They will let criminals run amok on the streets. They will let them off the hook, these liberal judges, right? They will let criminals off the hook who are coming for you. And I know it sounds dramatic. It is not. Women across the country, you have to protect yourselves and take power into your own hands. I know many young women, some young women I work with who carry every single day, because you don't know what's going to happen when you go into a store, when you're walking in a parking lot. So you have to take matters into your own hands and protect yourselves and show these people no mercy, because these folks who are coming up and attacking you on the streets, they don't just need to be locked away. They need to either be shipped out of the country or they need to be put on death row, because they are insane and contribute nothing to our country whatsoever. And all they want to do is going around maiming, killing, raping, and assaulting young women. I hate to bring it up, okay? I hate that we have to go here, but that is the truth. These men are not going to stop, and the men in power, like Gavin Newsom, who run these blue cities, like J.B. Pritzker, like Brandon Johnson, the mayor in Chicago, they're not going to protect you women. So unfortunately, you got to take matters into your own hands. And the last thing I'll say is this. All the men out there who have their women's backs, God bless you, okay? All the husbands, the boyfriends, the wives, men who might be single, but when they're out, they see a girl who's uncomfortable, who's being threatened, and they jump in, shout out to you, okay? Because chivalry is dying out. Alpha men, they are harder and harder to find these days. There are a lot of beta males out there, but shout out to the men who have their women's backs, okay? There's nothing wrong with asking a man for help, and women, you might have to carry and you might have to take matters into your own hands at times, and don't show these people mercy. Don't think, oh, it's just a homeless man, he's down on his luck, I feel bad for him. Absolutely not. You got to put yourself first. So carry a mace, carry a gun, and do what you gotta do. Now, this last story actually involves me. You guys know me, I'm not into drama. I'm not like a lot of other influencers where I'm always trying to inject myself into a news cycle or get press or attention. I want to be respected for doing my job, for calling it like I see it. Sometimes we find ourselves in the headlines and we'll put it up on the screen. So 2 days ago, I posted and expressed some of my thoughts on the national anthem at the Super Bowl. I heard that Charlie Puth, a singer, was going to be doing the national anthem, and I thought, I miss the days of Whitney Houston. I miss the days when we had these big divas do the national anthem. So I expressed myself. I said, look, man, we have fallen from Whitney Houston when she sang at the Super Bowl. Charlie Puth, he's not going to give us vocals, I'm afraid. Charlie Puth, he's a fine singer. He's a musical savant. I love some of his songs, right? He is a genius when it comes to production and engineering. But when I think Super Bowl national anthem, I'm thinking Chris Stapleton. I'm thinking Whitney Houston. I'm thinking someone like Adele who's just got those chops and a little bit of meat on their bones before the Ozempic. But Charlie Puth, he's doing the national anthem. Charlie Puth, he clapped back at me. He said, I'll never claim to be as good of a singer as Whitney Houston ever was, but I assure you we're putting together a really special arrangement in D major. It'll be one of my best vocal performances. I wrote him back. I said, I can't wait. I wish you well. I wish you nothing but the best. I will be watching, but I'm allowed to have my opinion and opine on public affairs and public matters. I make a living doing so, and I just miss the big divas. Now, I'm a very objective person. I am excited. If it is an amazing national anthem and beautiful arrangement and it hits me and pierces me to the core, I will give credit where credit is due. Okay, I always give credit where credit is due. Even if I have a personal issue with someone in my life, I give them credit. But I have no beef with Charlie Puth, and we could put the People Magazine thing back up on the screen, okay? I don't know why this is in People Magazine, Entertainment Tonight, Entertainment Weekly, Us Weekly, all of this ridiculous stuff. I cover politics and news, and then Meghan Markle sometimes, okay? So I was very confused when people were sending me this People Magazine situation, but I have no beef with Charlie Puth, okay? He followed me, we spoke, we are good. I have absolutely no beef. I wish him nothing but the best, and I am so excited to see him soar and do well. And for folks who say, oh, you're switching up, I'm not switching up at all. I still think I'd rather have a big diva do the national anthem because I think we're due for that. I think we're due for a big diva belted national anthem, but we will give Charlie Puth a chance. With winter creeping in and the holiday season in full swing, joint aches get sharper and skin looks tired faster. It's a reminder of what our bodies lose with age. By age 50, we've likely lost half our collagen, opening the door to aching joints, brittle bones, and tired-looking skin that ages you before your time. But there's hope. Native Path collagen peptides are helping millions refill that gap. Here's what sets Native Path apart. Just one clean ingredient. Third-party tested for heavy metals and purity. No fillers, no junk. Over 5 million jars sold and 8,000 5-star reviews say it works. Native Path customers are reporting stronger, more flexible joints, finally moving without pain, smoother, more youthful skin that turns back the clock, and thicker, fuller hair in as little as 14 days. Imagine waking up feeling like yourself again, active, confident, and pain-free. Right now, visit getnativepath.com/link for a special bundle deal at a fraction of the retail price, backed by a risk-free 365-day guarantee. But act now, supply is tight and demand is soaring. This deal won't last long. Don't let another day go by feeling older than you should. Visit getnativepath.com/link today. Well, my friends, that concludes this episode of Spot On with Link Lauren. I absolutely love you all. Happy Hump Day. If you're listening to us on SiriusXM, happy Thursday, Thirsty Thursday. But I just wanted to say, so much of the success of the podcast comes from you guys and word of mouth and sending it to your friends. And I read all of your comments, and our show is really growing. We're gaining thousands of new people every single week. I feel like we're really hitting our stride and figuring out what works for us and what doesn't. And I'm such an open person. I'm going to be honest with you guys when I think something works, when I think something doesn't, when I think we've done too much Meghan Markle and when it's time to give her a breather and a break. I'm very open and honest and self-reflective. But I absolutely love all of you. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you back on Monday. And you can also find me on my social media. I'm always posting on my X and my TikTok and my Instagram throughout the week so you can get more content.